You're probably wondering how you can give your zakah to them. Well, I gave mine to one organization in Senegal called Association des Sans-Abri West Africa. Hey everyone, it's Habiba and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to be offering you all another video today. So we're now in the month of Ramadan, which is the month of fasting for Muslim people. So I'd just like to say Ramadan Mubarak to all the Muslims fasting around the world. So I'm just gonna jump right into the content of today's video. So as some of you may or may not know, Muslims are required to give charity, also called zakah in Arabic. It is one of the 5 pillars of our faith. So basically zakah literally means something which purifies, so the way we understand it is that charity, it's something that cleanses you. In giving charity, you purify yourself, you cleanse yourself. And this month of Ramadan, Muslims will be very eager to give a lot of charity. And every year, organizations such as Islamic Relief, that's a really good one. They do great work around the world. They make appeals for people to donate to their many causes around the world, which is really great. So one thing that I wanted to draw your attention to in today's video is a cause that I think some of you might not think of, but that's a very important one nonetheless for you to consider giving your zakah, your charity to. And that is the issue of what's called les Enfants Talibés, or Almajiri as they call them in Nigeria. So it's basically a system practiced in countries like Senegal and Nigeria in which young boys from very poor families are sent to what's supposed to be Quranic schools to learn Quran, but instead they end up begging on the streets every day, all throughout the day, literally to ensure their survival. And you can see them out on the streets with their bowls, like with little buckets of bowls, so that people can give them food, rice, food, different forms of food. Sometimes you'll see them very early in the morning arriving at people's stores or just different spots throughout the city with their begging bowls, hoping that people will give them bread or rice or any form of provisions, in addition to money. Sometimes they ask for that money, all of which at the end of the day they'll take back to these schools where they live, and they'll give it to the, let's call him like the head teacher at that school. And sometimes if they return with not enough items in their bowl or not enough money, they're beaten. They can, sometimes they're very severely beaten. Not only are they beaten, but they're also subjected to other severe forms of abuse. They're sexually abused. Many of these boys, they're raped by these quote-unquote teachers. They're malnourished. They're not properly clothed either. So it's a very sad system, and I witnessed this firsthand when I was in Dakar, Senegal, some years ago. You can see them begging on the streets, and it's one of the most heartbreaking things. And some of them are little babies, I tell you, as young as 3 or 4 years old, little babies. You see them with their bowls, their bare feet, and they'll come to you begging. So it's a very heartbreaking thing. Human Rights Watch estimates that in Senegal there are about 100,000 of these boys who are called les Enfants Talibes, so talibés, talibés, which is from the Arabic word talib, actually, which means like student or learner. In Nigeria, there are millions of them, and of course Nigeria has a much larger population than Senegal, so naturally there would be more of them in Nigeria. They're not only in Nigeria and Senegal, you have them in other countries, Mali, Chad as well, other countries of the Sahel. But anyway, just in this video I decided to give Senegal and Nigeria as 2 examples. And so you might be wondering, well, why do parents send their children there? Why do the governments in these countries allow this to happen? So there's a host of related issues, a host of related underlying socioeconomic and social factors. Why are the governments neglecting these children? Why are their own parents neglecting them? Where is the child protection? How do you have 3-year-olds on the streets begging? How do you have little boys in these places where they're supposed to be learning? They end up begging all day, and then in addition to that, they're raped and abused, and it's just awful. One of the most terrible things. So yes, there are all these other issues that I don't really want to get into right now. If some of you are more interested, maybe leave your thoughts in the comments or something, and I could do another extended video in which I really sort of take a closer look at some of the underlying issues that create this vicious cycle. But that wasn't really my goal in today's video. Rather, in today's video, I just sort of wanted to present this issue to you and encourage you to consider giving your zakah to this issue this year, especially considering that it might not be one that many people think of when they think of, where am I going to give my zakah this Ramadan. So just something that, I said, let me share it with everyone, because it's been on my mind. It's an issue that I'm very disturbed by, among so many other issues, but it's just one that I thought to share with people. And among Muslims, you'll often hear people saying, like, these things are so sad when it comes to these types of abuses. They're so sad, but ultimately Allah will hold the perpetrators accountable. Allah will hold these teachers who abuse the boys and that type of thing accountable, which is true, yes. Allah will hold them accountable, and the final command is with Allah on the Day of Judgment. However, at the same time, we as Muslims here living, who are given the opportunity to live and to do things on this earth, we also have a responsibility to fight against these forms of injustice. And Allah has told us that in the Quran, that it is our duty to fight against these injustices. So it's not enough to simply say, oh, Allah will deal with them. We too have to play our role, to do our part in dealing with them as well. So you're probably wondering how you can give your zakah to them. Well, I gave mine to one organization in Senegal called Association des Sans-Abri West Africa, ASAWA, that's the acronym ASAWA, and it'll go toward providing some of these talibés with food, with provisions. So if you're interested, you can do it through the Western Union mobile app. I found it very convenient, the Western Union mobile app. And so if you know me personally, you can reach out to me and I can tell you what details you'd need, what bank details for the NGO you'd need. Otherwise, you can also contact them directly. I'll give you their you can contact the NGO directly by sending them an email at asawasgl@gmail.com. They also have a Facebook page where you can check out their activities and get in touch, which is Asawa Senegal. So ASAWA Senegal. And one thing I'd like to say is never underestimate the sort of small individual acts of charity. I know some people, they think, oh, these little acts of charity, every year it's the same thing, giving people bags of rice, giving people this, giving people and on the one hand, I totally understand that thinking, because you wonder, when will people just be able to feed themselves? When will people be self-sufficient? When will these little boys be taken off the street and actually put into homes where they're cared for, or returned to their families or whatever? When will their own families even be able to support them properly, so they won't have to kind of farm their children out to these schools where they're abused, So that's a really good question as well. So indeed, we need that sort of systemic change. We need policies, we need advocacy. We need advocacy for policies, to create policies, child protection policies, so forth, anti-poverty policies. And then once these policies have been legislated, they need to be enforced. So I agree, we need the higher level stuff at the government level, at the level of society, to create real transformational change. So we have to do both at the same time, I say. You know, it's these things, they're multi-pronged issues, so we have to sort of, you know, do the individual stuff, the feeding people, the bags of rice, but then at the same time the more systemic sort of change at a political level. So don't underestimate the small stuff, okay? Because that can be very life-changing. Imagine someone who is without food, or who is destitute, or little kids who, some of these kids, and remember, they're fasting. Many of them, they'll be fasting, just like we all are, you know. However, for some people, they're always fasting, in Ramadan and outside of Ramadan, you know, and they don't even have anything to break their fast with. So don't underestimate what providing, say, one person with food in this time will do. Okay, great, everyone. So that's all from me for today. I hope you'll consider giving some of your zakah in support of les enfants of the talibés, or these Almajiri children. Thank you all for watching, and you know, I know these times are very hard for everyone, so I'd like to wish all the Muslims Ramadan Mubarak. May Allah accept it from us. Alhamdulillah, we've made it to see another year, and I know last year 2020 was particularly difficult because we had the pandemic and everyone has had to learn, and we're still learning how to adjust to these new conditions brought upon us by the pandemic. So it's been quite challenging. And then in addition to the pandemic and all the challenges that's brought, we still have these issues persisting of child abuse, of rape, of, you know, it's just I don't even have words for it. Last year in 2020, some of you would have seen me posting on my Facebook about some of these women who were murdered by their husbands. And I even made a YouTube video, and I got some people I know and some friends, they also contributed to that video, called I Am Aisa, Say No to Wife Murder. You know, because there was one case in France of a Guinean woman, young woman, just about 25, 26 years old, who had been murdered by her husband. And then there was also the issue of this little 5-year-old girl in Sierra Leone named Khadija Sako, who had been raped by her cousin, and it killed her. She died as a result of it, you know. So just all these very tragic stories that have been happening alongside the pandemic. And I'm talking about, the reason I'm bringing some of these up anyways is because they're related to the issues of the talibés that I've just been talking about, the rape, the abuse, etc. And just to say, I know they're hard topics, they're very heavy topics, they're not easy topics. Some people don't even want to hear about it, they'd rather just not hear about it. But we have to talk about them. You know, it's even hard for me to talk about them, to come on here and make these videos. Do you know, I don't know whether I procrastinate or whether it's that I'm just thinking, oh my God, I just don't feel like doing it. Because just reading some of the articles about these issues, they disturb my soul, you know, like some of these Talibé boys, when you read how some of them, they're rushed to the hospitals because they have been anally raped, you know. And this is just the reality, so I'm just speaking frankly about what happens, you know. So imagine that, and then some of these kids who die from being raped, boys and girls, because they're young, their bodies can't even handle any of this thing, you know. So it kills them, literally, so many of them. So they're such hard topics. Even when I want to make my videos, I say, oh no, it's night now, so I'm not going to make it at night because I don't want to talk about this at night before I go to bed. And then the next day something else comes up, and then finally I say, you know what, it's really important, I just need to just like hurry up and make it. But I know just how hard these topics are, so I'm saying to people, you know, they're hard topics, but we have to deal with them nonetheless. We have to find a way to address them. Okay, so thank you all for watching. Hope to see you in my next video. Stay positive, stay strong, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.